Hey everybody, today we are going to be talking about our chicken run. Hey everyone, Aaron here with the Coop Homestead. As promised, today we are going to be talking about our chicken coop and our chicken run. If you recall, we did a video last summer talking about the chicken coop. That's going to be considered part one of this series. We're going to do the rest of this in 3 more parts, but we're going to be talking about our chicken run. We're going to be talking about our feeding system, and we're going to be talking about our watering system in the next few videos. So we did get our chicken coop. If you recall, we did order that. We modified it. We added in this window, added in some wire, added in the raising door, paint, trim, all that good stuff. But we've already went over that in our previous video. What we didn't get a chance to talk about last year was the actual chicken run. And the reason for that is because construction took us clear into the winter and it was just too cold and I wasn't gonna be out here freezing to record a video about it. So this has been in operation for several months at this point, so it's dirty. It's not as bright and shiny as it was when we first put it together, but that'll just kind of give you a more realistic look of what you're gonna see when you actually have a chicken run. So the chicken run itself is 16 feet long, and we did that intentionally because that's the length of 2 2x4s. Made it a lot easier to measure, cut, and put together. And as you can see, the chicken run is tall enough that I can go inside and I can walk around in it. And that was one of my big conditions with assembling this thing, is if I can't work with it comfortably, then I'm not gonna ever wanna deal with it. So this is perfect. So now that you've seen how tall and how long the chicken run is, from this angle you can see how wide the chicken run is. It's about 5 feet, which is, you know, oddball measurement there, but if you look behind me you can see it's as wide as the chicken coop is. So that gave us a good point. Again, just ease of construction. We're building it just straight off of the edges of the chicken coop there. And for the corners, what we did to actually start the construction process is we took 4x4 posts, and these posts, you can see they're a little bit taller than me. I'm about 6 foot. These posts are originally 8 foot tall. We did not cut these, but what we did is we dug down into the ground and buried them in concrete down into the ground. We pre-painted the boards before we put them into the concrete, so that should help give them some more weather sealing. They are pressure treated boards to begin with. All the boards across the bottom are also pressure treated. The ones higher up are regular wood though. That really helps save a lot of money on the construction costs there. So that gave us our basic framework to start with. So to start our construction, the first 2 4x4s that we put down into the ground were these 2 right here. What we did is we aligned them up with the legs of the actual chicken coop itself. So these legs to the coop go all the way to the top of the chicken coop itself, becoming its actual framework. So these bolts go through the 4x4, through the wall of the coop, and through that board inside the coop. So essentially that gets our chicken coop anchored to the ground and anchored to the run. So we have 2 bolts that we did that for. And from there, we started laying out the rest of our framework. So once we got the first 4x4s up against the coop done, what I actually did to measure it out is I just laid the 2x4s down on the ground and spray painted where the next spot would be, where the 2 4x4s or 2x4s met, and that was gonna be where my next 4x4 was. So that gave me where this one is going to go and where the corner ones were going to go. From that point, it was just a matter of post hole digging, getting things set. We used a lot of clamps to hold the 2x4s against the 4x4s to keep them from tipping over while the concrete set. And from there, we just started assembling. What we originally did was we had the boards going crossways in between the 4x4s. And then we brought this wire in, brought that down, and then we brought in additional 2x4s on top of the wire in all directions. That essentially reinforces the wire. It can't be pushed in, it can't be pushed out, and it prevents all the little sharp edges, and it makes it look a lot better too. A little bit more detail on the wire that we used. As you can see here, it is a hardware cloth. It's a 1/2 inch square. And the reason that we use hardware cloth instead of chicken wire, yes, it's more expensive, but it is much, much, much sturdier. It's a heavier galvanized welded wire, and it's not going to rust, it's not going to come apart for hopefully many, many years. So we're really wanting to future-proof ourselves for this. What we did is we used 4-foot sections of wire. So the wire itself is 4 feet tall, and we cut sections and went around the run. But on the bottom section, this is not 4 feet tall. What we did with the rest of the wire is we actually rolled the wire out onto the ground and then secured it in with that second 2x4 that we talked about a moment ago. And what this layer of wire on the ground does is it prevents any animals, any predators, from digging their way underneath these posts to get inside the chicken run to gain access. This is fortification. This will help keep our chickens safer. So speaking of fortifications, we do have a door on our chicken run. This door, it was a screen door that we got from Lowe's. The screen was torn on it, and so we got it at a discount, but I didn't want the screen anyway, so I didn't care. So we just ripped the screen off and painted it, added our hardware cloth to it. So the door does have a latching system on it that keeps it secure. We can padlock that if we need to. So that allows us to open the door. Now, of course, the wind is just gonna blow this back shut. So what we did is we attached a string, this is actually weed eater wire, and put a washer on the end of it and a hook on the door, so we can just hook that on there, and that will keep the door from accidentally closing when you're inside of the chicken coop. But things happen. You never know, right? So just in case the door does close while we're inside of the chicken coop or the chicken run, I built an emergency release that I can pull from the inside, and it opens up the latch and I can get out. The last part of our run fortifications that we want to talk about is going to be the roof. So of course we had our outer frame, as we've already discussed and shown. On the coop itself, we did add this crossboard here, and that gave us a spot to put a 2x4 across the center of the whole chicken run. So what we did is we did use plastic roofing. We alternated between clear and white sheets of plastic, and we did that for several reasons. One, we do get snow, we do get a lot of rain, and that'll help prevent this from in here being a complete mud pit. It will also help during the snowy times to prevent snow from getting into the run. It makes it a little bit more comfortable. This is a safe area. This is a shelter for the birds, and we want that to be, as comfortable for them as we can make it. So yeah, just did some cross beams, both directions across the 4x4s where they are, otherwise down the center. Did some roofing screws through the top with the rubber seals on them to prevent any water from leaking through. The other reason that we did the plastic roofing was for this over here, which we will discuss in a future video, but this is our watering system, and we had to have a solid roof to catch water. Okay, so that pretty much sums up our chicken run construction video. Again, this took weeks, months, years of on and off work, weekends, getting all this finished up, but it's definitely been worth it. So that's our framing, the wiring, the painting, and the roof. Do stay tuned. The next couple of weeks, our videos are going to be covering that watering system that I've already touched base on, and you will definitely want to see our video about our feeding system as well. So be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Thanks.